Seriously, this is like the 11th time I've started this video. It ain't perfect, but, well,
Get on with it.
Tin Hut!
how you doing, everybody? Andrew Scott, and you are back at Booth Camp. So today, we're going to talk about two different sets of letters that mean something to voiceover and, frankly, pretty much anything in life. So, if you've been following me for a while, you've heard me refer to something called GAS, G-A-S, which stands for Gear Acquisition Syndrome. And frankly, it happens to pretty much everybody who gets into a pursuit that requires things to help them do their task. You know, musicians suffer from GAS, hobbyists, craftspeople, so many people suffer from GAS. And fill in your joke here. It's so easy to fall down that rabbit hole anytime you're doing something where you can conceive of being better at doing it by having the newest, biggest, shiniest, brightest thing. Or frankly, even just something different from what you already have. You know, us monkeys love this idea of perfection, right? We hold it up as the goal, as the destination in a journey, when it probably shouldn't be. Actually, I'll erase the word probably. It shouldn't be. You can always strive to be better, to do better, but to think that at any point in time you're going to wind up being perfect or what results from your efforts will be perfect, that's an illusion. That's simply not achievable. You know, if anything in my philosophical background sticks, it's that perfection is an illusion. So thinking that you should be working towards perfection in your VO business is not helpful to you. And, you know, constantly worrying about, is my setup perfect? Is this the perfect setup for me? You know, people getting into voiceover often suffer from something that we refer to as analysis. See, I didn't do it. Analysis paralysis, right? They do all these deep dive research things. They spend hours and hours and hours trying to find the absolute perfect solution for their space or their voice or their computer or what have you. And they try to do this and get things perfect before they're even willing to start, before they're even willing to try, before they're even willing to record their voice. And as I said, that's not only impossible, but it's actually really unhelpful. Gear will not save you. Gear will not make your voiceover business. Gear might get in the way sometimes, but it's not an impossible thing to overcome. A bad environment is not an impossible thing to overcome. Worrying about getting things to be perfect, just right, absolutely the way they should be, is really going to be getting in your way. And I did a whole video on getting out of your own way. This definitely holds hands with that. And here's why. So as I've said in past videos, I've done lots of different things in my life by way of occupation. One of the things I used to be was a machinist. And of course, when you're a machinist, you have to spend a not insignificant amount of time being concerned with things like tolerances. Now, I used to work down to the 000 level, 3 dots. That's very fine tolerances. But that wasn't the majority of the work that I did. The majority of the work that I did was 1 dot tolerance. That's fine, but it's not, super fine work. So knowing where and when tolerance is important to you is key. In the machinist's world, there's a saying called chasing zeros, trying to get things so very tight by way of tolerance, absolute near perfection. Knowing when to work to that level of tolerance is important. It's important in machining, it's important in voiceover. So if I spent all my time trying to get down to 3 zeros on a piece of round stock that I only needed to cut 440 threads into, I would not only be wasting my time and driving myself nuts, I'd probably be doubling, if not tripling, the amount of time it took me to generate what I was tasked with doing. So my want of tolerance, my want of accuracy, didn't really benefit me when what I was tasked with didn't require that level of accuracy, that level of finesse. And so that brings me to my other term, and it's the opposite of gas. It's the antithesis of gas. And we use it in a number of different trades. It's often used in things like construction and carpentry. But, we had a version of it in machining as well. And it's called GED. And that doesn't mean graduate equivalency degree. GED stands for good enough, dude. It's when you could do better. You could go farther in chasing those zeros and trying to be more accurate, in trying to be closer to perfection. But the job you're doing doesn't require it. And so getting it done and being able to say, good enough, dude, that sets you free from that cycle. That lets you move on to the next thing. So if you're watching me or have been following me for a while, you're likely just starting out on your VO journey. And you might be suffering from a combination of analysis paralysis and also gear acquisition syndrome, thinking that this thing or that thing or this change is going to make it better, make you better, make your product better. But if you're also just starting out in this business, you're not required to work to the same level of quality that something like a national broadcast spot might necessitate. It might be your dream to be doing that kind of work, but if you're being realistic with yourself, it's probably not where you are. And constantly trying to get to perfect, constantly trying to, but I might be called on to do a national spot. Yeah, you might be. You might also have a tail growing out of your backside at some point in the future. We don't know that. So constantly trying to be prepared for something that you're nowhere near is chasing zeros. Look, if you're not being called upon to patch in via Source Connect or some, product like that in order to do a 96 kilohertz recording, why are you worried about perfect when you're not being asked to provide perfect yet? There's so much work to do that doesn't require perfection by way of technology, doesn't require perfection by way of environment. Yet you're spending all your time and effort and energy preparing for something that's so far down the road, you can't even see it over the horizon yet. And it's getting in your way. You, again, are getting in your own way. If you've got a setup that's good enough, dude, for certain things, you're much better served by focusing your effort, your money, and your time working with what you have, keeping in mind an upgrade that you want in the future, something that might provide you with a different sound or solve an environmental problem. But if it's really not getting in your way, you shouldn't be either. Just start doing work. Start doing volunteer work or start doing the small jobs. Look, YouTube videos and narration don't require the same kind of adherence to specifications as something like an audiobook does. You don't need to worry about RMS and you don't really need to worry about noise floor so much. But you know what? That work is there. That work is available. That work is waiting for you to do it, to pitch it, to try to earn the ability to do it. And that's where you're going to get paid back. You're going to get paid back much more for doing that kind of work and putting in that kind of effort than you are worrying about whether an $800 microphone will serve you better than a $1,000 microphone will. YouTube doesn't require those things. So constantly trying to upgrade from where you are without really focusing on where you are and maximizing your ability to work there. There's so much practice to be earned. There's so much credential to be developed. There's so many relationships to be built right where you are right now with the gear you already have. Generally speaking, if you've got a halfway decent microphone, a closet padded with a bunch of stuff, and a computer, you're ready to start working. And what you'll get back from working at that place, at that tier, at that level, is far more valuable than some TBLAM 203 microphone. It's experience. It's institutional knowledge. It's skill. There is no piece of gear, no microphone, no whisper booth that replaces your experience in doing voiceover. That's your number one thing. And constantly letting this or that self-perceived limitation of equipment get in your way is really the thing that's going to slow you down. And look, I'm going to cop to something here. I've been doing the same thing. I've been suffering from gas by way of my YouTube channel. I mean, I shot my first YouTube video back in January of 2022. Foam is not magic. Still not. On my cell phone. And, you'll see it up here. That information is still perfectly valid. That knowledge that I was trying to give to you still stands. That's a totally watchable video. But now I have 3 different cameras and 9 different lenses and dozens of video lights and all these things that I've tried to see if they will make things better. I was chasing zeros. I was too focused on perfection when what I really should have been focused on is just getting the material out there. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't regret having done what I've done and spent the money that I spent. Well, I kind of regret the money that I spent, but I don't regret doing it because I had a goal and I needed to see what things would help me achieve that goal. I could have just done it with my cell phone. It definitely would have been GED. Stop thinking that changing this, that, or the other thing, or buying this, that, or the other thing is going to make you better at voiceover. The only thing that's going to make you better at voiceover is doing voiceover at some level with the technology that you currently have. You can accomplish so much by way of learning and practice and skill building and talent development and nurturing just by using what you have. Keeping an eye in the future so that you are working towards something that might refine what you're doing. But a microphone isn't going to teach you how to emote. It's not going to teach you how to interpret copy. It's not going to provide you with a growing set of skills. Only you can do that. And all you have to do is use what you have now and start doing it. Don't suffer from analysis paralysis. Join us on our Discord server, and we'll try to talk you off the gas cliff. Probably. Stop worrying about improving external things when you're beginning your VO journey. Take the first step. Start doing voiceover with whatever you have and refine as you go. Mindful of the fact that, again, no piece of gear is going to make you a better voice talent. That only comes from doing it. That only comes from practice. That only comes from time with the mic in your face. Is what you're generating now perfect? No, probably not. Is it GED? It probably is. GED is GED. Work from there. It's part of your journey. Do me a favor, if you found anything of value in this video, do the like, click, subscribe thing, and join us on our Discord server at the link below. But until next time, everybody, I'm Andrew Scott, and you've been at Boot Camp. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yes, get on with it!
Oh, I am enjoying this scene.
Definitely not perfect.
Get on with it!
Hopefully GED.